I appreciate your coming. This is mainly an opportunity for questions and answers again, but to report on progress. Many of you will know that we had suspended classes for nearly 2 weeks, and the purpose was to do everything we could to engage with staff and students, particularly the groups leading the protests, and to avoid having to open the campus with security on the campus, because we know that that's not desirable as a learning environment, and it can sometimes make it harder to keep a peaceful campus. We had intense negotiations right up to Sunday evening, and unfortunately in the end we could not find agreement. I think we found agreement on most of the substantive issues. The main one was to call for an institutional reconciliation commission, a process that we would jointly establish with all of the stakeholders, so that various different student groups, not just the student group that that was leading the protest, but also other student groups and other staff groups. And we would establish an agenda, a scope for such an institutional reconciliation process. We would agree on panelists, and I will say we actually had already suggested 4 panelists on whom we had agreed, although it was necessary for other stakeholders, not part of that process, to be brought in order to agree on panelists. We had agreed on a time frame, and that we would start immediately this week with assembling the panelists and refining the scope of the terms of such an institutional reconciliation process. What we could not get agreement on was an acceptance that the campus should open in parallel with that process. In other words, that while establishing the Institutional Reconciliation Commission and while it was getting off the ground, that we should continue our classes.